everyone, welcome back to 996. The Howl was feeling good. This morning. Excited to make this video because, some really good news happening around the Coyotes. But then The Athletic drops a bomb this morning. I've yet to read it, but I know it's a Katie Schrang article, so I can only imagine what's inside. But other than that, I want to congratulate all of you, specifically Coyotes fans, for making it this far. 60 games in a teardown, rebuild, somewhat unexpected earlier in 2021 in the offseason. But we made it. I think the darkness and the bad times on the ice are over and done with. We're seeing some great hockey. They're not going to keep this pace up, obviously. We'll get into that a bit more later, especially because of their back end. But we made it. We're seeing some great hockey lately over the past couple of months. It's not turmoil. It's entertaining. I'm tuning in every game. Obviously, I tune in for every game. But I'm sure mainstream fans or tangential Coyotes fans are tuning in more. They're playing on good entertainment, and it's good to root for the underdog. In terms of trade deadline, it's coming up next week. I'll link my trade deadline video for the Coyotes below. I still stand firm. In that video, I said it would be uneventful for the Coyotes. Now with Chychrun's injury, could be 2 weeks, could be 3 or 4 weeks. I stand by it that I don't think he's going to get traded. It seems like Florida's backed out, and now it's only Boston and LA who are, kicking tires over Chychrun. But his injury could be a blessing in disguise. We could end up keeping Chychrun. He doesn't play because he's injured, so that helps the tank if your team tank. And yeah, we still keep Chychrun. We lose because our back end is just all Tucson Roadrunner defensemen plus Gostisbehere and Anton Strawman. So that helps too. So it could be the best case scenario. I don't think the defensive core is going to keep this pace up for the final stretch of the 22 games, especially now with Moser out. Not sure how long he's going to be injured for, but the head coach, Andre Tourigny, said it might be some time. Other than that, let's get into it. I created that trade deadline video earlier in the month because I thought, the floodgates were open with that Lyubushkin trade, but it's been a standoff. Like I said, for the Coyotes, they really don't have anyone valuable to trade. I feel like teams will come to the Coyotes after other teams have bulked up because there's so many sellers, especially in the West, especially in the East, because there's no teams competing for a playoff spot in the East. In the West, you got 2 teams battling for the wild card spot, but below Vancouver, Jets should be selling, and everyone below the Jets should be selling. Anaheim, San Jose, obviously Coyotes, Blackhawks, Seattle. So there's still some sellers in the West too, but those other teams have much more valuable players to trade off and offer teams. And then I'm sure, late in the deadline, teams will circle back to the Coyotes and be like, hey, Phil Kessel, I could use, a third-line winger who's won 2 cups. Here's a second-round pick. Let's get into the good news. So in the first 20 games, they only won 4 games, the Coyotes did. And from 20 to 40 games, they won 6 games. And then from 40 to 60, they won 10 games. They had a 500 hockey record. They were 10-10. No overtime losses in the past 20 games. So their record stands at 20, 36, and 4. Every category is up except the possession numbers. But let's get into these numbers. Their goals for 2.63. It's only been increasing. I remember in the first 20 game video, they were under 2 goals per game, but they've been on a torrid pace, facing some miserable goalies. They faced Matt Murray, Nedeljkovic, who's having a rough go of it lately, Mrazek, Gustafsson on Ottawa, and then Montembeault and Primo last night against Montreal, and they're piling up the numbers. Their efficiency is incredible. I'll just jump here. Their shooting percentage, 10.2%. I mean, the Coyotes, they don't shoot much. As you can see against Ottawa a couple of days ago, they had 5 goals on 15 shots. And then against Montreal, they had 5 goals on 14 shots. They're really efficient. Facing some bad goalies, yes, but that's a 11th place shooting percentage in the league, which is remarkable for the Coyotes. Goals against is going down a little bit slowly. It's been continuing to go down. They're not, last place in goals against per game. They're 27th with 3.53 goals against per game. Power play, I have one more thing. I don't yet. Power play, I don't like their power play. Obviously, they're 31st in the league, 13.07%. Almost a whole percent increase from their 40-game mark, which they were still last. So they're still at the bottom of the league in power play, even though it has increased by 1 full percentage point. Penalty kill, I don't like the penalty kill either. I like how Keller and Hayden are on the penalty kill. I'm loving that. But, goaltending defensively, it's not there yet. They said, the head coaching staff said they were going to focus on the penalty kill coming out of the All-Star break. And it's increased very slightly. They're not last. They're 30th with 73.12%. Save percentage has increased considerably as well. They're 21st in the league in save percentage with these goalies. Flat 900 in save percentage. There is a playoff team below the Coyotes with worse save percentage, and that's Minnesota. I was pretty surprised to see Minnesota so low in save percentage, considering they're looking to compete and go deep in the playoffs. So they got to rectify that moving forward. Shooting percentage, like I said, up tremendously since a 40-game mark. And then their Corsi, their possession numbers, really poor, 44%, down about 1.5% from the 40-game mark. Lately, the Coyotes, they're not possessing the puck a lot. It seems like they're becoming a very efficient and lethal team. Not sure if that's due to the bad goalies or they know how to score now. Under Rick Tocchet, they did not know how to execute, and it was so frustrating to watch. But now it seems like whenever they have a golden opportunity or a high danger chance, they're executing and they're getting their goals. Now, this stat is a bit controversial. Maybe it's not even a stat to focus on, because in 31st place is the New York Rangers, who are expected to go really far in the playoffs and who are an exceptional team. But to me, that just shows the Rangers know how to score. They don't need a lot of time with the puck in the offensive zone to set up for a goal. They can just score right away. And also they have great goaltending. So, we'll see how the possession numbers continue under Andre Tourigny. They were pretty poor under Rick Tocchet, so I expect those numbers to be up once they get some more talent in the lineup. Because, the talent on the Coyotes in the forward core is not good after the first line. Like, really, who's going to possess the puck other than Keller, Schmaltz, and Hayden? Maybe Kessel, but, they don't have those possession-type players other than those group of guys. So their fights, they used to be second place. They were tied in first with Nashville, but they've been down since O'Brien has been injured. They're now fourth place in fights behind Anaheim, Ottawa, and like I said, in Nashville. But O'Brien is still tied for the league in number of fights. So even though he's been injured, he's still in the top, maybe in the lead or top two for number of fights. Moving on to players. Ridiculous paces here. We got Clayton Keller, who's got 60 points in 60 games, 26 goals. He's two goals away from his career high. In his rookie year, he had 28 goals, I believe. No, actually he had 25 goals, so he surpassed his rookie year goal totals, but his point total was 65. So 5 points away from eclipsing his rookie year totals, which we thought would never happen ever again. And he's just having a resurgence, just so consistent. The past 20 games, he's got 30 points. So 30 points from game 40 to 60. Ridiculous. Every game, he's just getting on the score sheet. He's making something happen. And it's really great to see. Nick Schmaltz coming out of nowhere. He's never been on one of these boards. He was injured, I think, for the 20-game report. in the 40-game report. He just got back from injury, I believe, but he's second place on the team in points, 42 points in 41 games, 18 goals, his highest in his career. He's going to eclipse his career high in points too if he hasn't already. And he's 6 years into his career and he's having a career year. Just, Schmaltz and Keller are just feeling it. They're so confident with the puck. They're so confident with their shooting abilities and just, dangling around in the offensive zone. They're never making really bad plays offensively or defensively. Nick Schmaltz is still a great, takeaway player. He's great at taking away the puck from the opposition. Just loving Schmaltz and Keller right now. This is their prime right now, so we should all be focused on Schmaltz and Keller. In the past 20 games, he's had 32 points, so he's right there with Clayton Keller. Gostisbehere, he's always been here in the top 5. 10 goals, 28 points, 28 assists, 38 points. Gostisbehere finds his way on the score sheet. He's doing really well as our offensive defenseman when Chychrun, was slow to get it going, but Chychrun was firing on all cylinders right before his injury. So, it's sad to see that Chychrun's out again with an injury, but for a brief moment there, Ghost and Chychrun were just dominating offensively from the back end. So that was great to see. You still have Phil Kessel there. 6 goals, 31 assists, 37 points in 60 games. He's a playmaker. He's no longer a sharpshooter like he was earlier in his career, but he still makes some great plays. Still just always looking for a good pass and just love Phil Kessel. I wonder if he'll still be traded after becoming a father for the first time. That's going to be really hard on Bill Armstrong to trade him away from his newborn child, so quickly after it was born. But, it's business. I'm sure Bill Armstrong and Phil Kessel are talking about arrangements that fit Kessel and benefit Phil Kessel. And then finally, Lawson Krauss, another career year for Lawson Krauss. 19 goals, 13 assists, 32 points in 58 games. Just Andre Tourigny is just really developing these young players, and they're having career years. It's just great to see. Even Barrett Hayton, he's got 10 points in his last 12 games. We're finally seeing Barrett Hayton becoming a consistent NHL player who produces on a line with Nick Ritchie and Louis Eriksson to boot. He's producing with those line mates. But back to Krauss, he's scoring, he's feeling it. Seems like whenever he gets a shot off, it's going in the net. He had a hat trick against Ottawa, and then a brilliant shot goal against Montreal last night. Loving Krauss. I wonder if, Bill Armstrong trades Krauss. He's publicly said he's going to keep Krauss, but, he's been on a great pace as of late. He's going to warrant a high package. With Chychrun injured, maybe other teams will come looking for Krauss. Every team would love Krauss. He's cheap, big body, power forward, who can throw his body around, who can fight. He could rattle the pots and pans of the opposition. Good on the power play, good on the PK, almost a 20-goal scorer. I mean, every team needs that right now. Moving on to the goalies. Wedgwood, probably the best waiver line pickup in the league this season. 10 wins, 13 losses, 3 overtime shootout losses. Save percentage of .907 and a goals against of 3.17. At the 20-game mark, he had an .895 and a 3.4 goals against. So Wedgwood has really turned it on the past 20 games. This is the best 20-game sequence of his career. The increase from the 40-game report is just remarkable. Really carrying this team. I don't know if he's a starter or not. It seems like sometimes they'll run with Wedgwood, then give him a rest, run with Vejmelka, then give the Milkman a rest, and then maybe alternate them sometimes. But, they're both pretty much consistent with their play. Obviously, Wedgwood has increased a lot, but Vejmelka has been consistent throughout. At the 40-game mark, he had a .905 and around the same goals against average as well. So Vejmelka's been consistent. I know his record looks bad, but that was when earlier in the season it was just him holding the fort. and during their 11-game losing streak when Carter Hutton went out with an injury. But I'm comfortable with whoever's in net. It doesn't really matter. Both of them could steal a game. Both of them could have their off nights and let in some brutal goals. But, I'm liking both of them. They have a good chemistry with each other. It's a good competition, a good battle. You just love to see that with goalies. I wonder if, Bill Armstrong has said if he can't get an extension with Vejmelka, he might look to the trade market. And a number of teams are desperate for goalies. I mean, Toronto needs a goalie. Dallas needs a goalie. Vegas perhaps needs a backup, and Leonard's currently injured. So a lot of teams, and I just mentioned Minnesota's below the Coyotes in save percentage. So a lot of teams could be kicking the tires on Vejmelka. I wonder if Bill Armstrong executes it. Wedgwood is playing stellar. We could pretty much ride Wedgwood. I mean, we'd have to call up Prosvetov because we lost Carter Hutton to Toronto. Or maybe we just pick up a cheap goalie. But, I have mixed feelings on if Vejmelka gets traded. If Vejmelka doesn't want to sign here, he's a free agent, then it makes sense to trade him. But I think I would rather sign him. I want Vejmelka and Wedgwood for this rebuild. I don't want a good goalie for the next year or two. And I feel like Wedgwood and Vejmelka are great rebuild goalies. Very low expectations. They're fighting to stay in the NHL, well, at least Wedgwood is, but Vejmelka just got to the NHL. So I think you could sign him for cheap, short-term deals. If Vejmelka starts to be amazing next season, then his value just increases and you can trade him then. But, we'll see what happens to Prosvetov. I'm not so confident he's going to be an NHL backup next year. I still think he needs at least one more good year in Tucson before making the jump, and I don't want to ruin the development of Prosvetov. But, that's it. A lot of good. But I'm surprised that there's so much good mojo around this team in almost every category. So it's been good. It's been fun as a Coyotes fan. I would not have expected this at the start of the season. And just looking forward to more Coyotes hockey, and I hope you guys are as well. So that's it for me. Thank you for watching. If you like what you see, spread the word. And as always, thank you for your support.